President Donald Trump says he has no time frame for ending the war with Iran and is in no rush to end it. Those comments came in an interview with Fox News yesterday. President Trump had previously said the war would last 4 to 6 weeks. It's now in its 7th week. The president also rejected suggestions for political considerations that are maybe influencing his approach. He said the midterm elections are not a driving motivation to end the war, as some people have claimed. Iran's Revolutionary Guard also said yesterday that it seized 2 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and transferred them to Iranian waters. Iranian officials claim the ships did not have proper authorization to be there. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called it piracy and said the ships are not American or Israeli. Iranian media said a 3rd vessel, a Greek-owned ship, was also reportedly targeted and was disabled off Iran's coast. And as the U.S. blockade against Iran continues, gas prices remain a concern. Right now, AAA says we're getting a little bit of a break for drivers here in Georgia. The average price per gallon for regular unleaded has dipped down to $3.56. That's down about 10 cents from last week.